Ok, welcome everybody, buonasera a tutti e benvenuti a questa degustazione del consorzio dei vini di Brunello di Montalcino. I will speak in English and I'm very pleased and honored to speak in English because we are international. So Milano Wine Week goes really international. We are connected with Miami and Toronto, so I say hello to them all and hope this masterclass will be more and more interactive. So please ask anything you want to ask me and we will discuss about the wines and the terroir and all the things related to this lovely vintage 2015 Riserva. So today we are focusing on the wine of Brunello di Montalcino. Actually, we are focusing on a specific vintage that is 2015 and on a specific style that is the Riserva. You know that we are located in Tuscany. We are quite in the southern part of Tuscany. Actually, it's considered a hillside, but if you want to simplify, so in order to understand actually how the climate and how the factors affect the quality and the style of the wine, you need to consider Montalcino as a single hill. In front of it, there is the sea. So it's quite far, actually, but there is no other hillside in front of it. So you can imagine how the mitigating influence of the sea is affecting the climate. So we are in Tuscany. It is a historic denomination, and it's really, really famous all over the world. So if you think about a red wine from Italy, you basically think about Brunello. Brunello is quite big as an area because it's more or less 24,000 hectares, but only 15% of them are covered by vineyards. That means that all the rest is covered by forest, covered by olive. So there is a lot of biodiversity. This is really important, and I would like you to keep it in mind because we will discuss later on about the concept of sustainability, biodiversity, organic, and many of these wineries are really, really focusing on that. Before starting, I would like to pay attention to this QR code. I don't know if you can use from your phone, because this QR code is connected with the list of wine, so the technical sheets of all this wine. It's quite smart as a way, because we don't print. This is very sustainable, and I like it. And so you can keep them at home and look at them in your personal computer or print at home. So if you need it, I have also a printed copy, and I'm going to let him pass around you. So if you want to scan, I start from here, and then you can pass the code. Thank you. Okay, let's go back to our stuff. I promise the theory part will be just a small part, because I know you're quite thirsty, and I'm thirsty too. So I started talking this morning at 9, so I need to refresh my palate. And it's really interesting to refresh my palate with one of the most precious and more outstanding vintages of the last decade, at least. Remember, 2015 is famous because it's been dry, warm, with no problematic in the weather side. So the weather has been very sunny, dry, hot. This has provided a full phenolic ripening, also a full technological ripening. So the balance inside the pulp with the sugar and the acidity was more or less perfect. So you obtain a wines that actually results really approachable, even if young. So they are quite opulent. they are still austere because we are talking about Italian wines, so you don't expect a juicy, bold wine like the one you can find in the New World. But this expression of the Brunello is really juicy, it's really ready to drink, the tannins are really polished, are really well made, and they fix in the mouth in a really balance with the other element. So it's really compact, it's really generous as a vintage. Now, let's focus a bit on the term riserva. What does it mean? So you know that a consorzio set forth a set of rules in order to deliver a constant, a continuous quality, the same high quality year by year. So in the Montalcino area, the consortium set for rule for the yield, for the density, for the grape variety, of course, and for the vinification and the aging. Actually, the time in the winery is around 5 years for the Brunello base and 6 years for the Reserva. So you can taste now 2015 because it's the new release, actually. What's the differences in the winery? So the rules set forth that the wine has to spend 2 years at least in wood. They don't specify which kind of wood. And then 4 months at least in the bottle for the base. No, don't like to say base, but for Brunello. And 6 at least for Reserva. Obviously, we will discover later on together that actually many wineries keep it longer. So you identify a Brunello also because of this secondary and tertiary evolution, this savouriness, this oxidative complexity that keeps it very gastronomic. This is because the long aging period in wood together with a long aging period in bottle. So now you can taste a wine that is 6 years old, looks young, but looks ready to drink. Now, let's focus a bit on the natural factors that affect the quality and the style of the wine of Brunello di Montalcino. As I told you before, Brunello Montalcino is considered a hillside, and if you look at this, you imagine a sort of circle, and you split in 4. You can divide the northeast, the northwest, the southeast, and the southwest. So basically, these versanti, so slopes, are really, really different and give the typicity of the style and the quality of the different wine. Many wineries give more complexity to their wine by blending different plot. So if you have different plot in the northern area and the southern area, you keep the northern area to give certain characteristics to the wine and the southern one to give other characteristics of the wine. You will discover, if you participate to the other masterclass from Brunello di Montalcino, that there is a single masterclass all dedicated to slopes, to versante. So you will drink the real expression of single vineyards in order to understand the diversity of the style within the Brunello. So which are these factors that give this diversity? Okay, if you look at the northern part, the soils are different, but also the climate is slightly different. So the western part is more composed of, is sunny in the morning, but actually is very well ventilated and not really hot, especially in the afternoon. In the eastern part, this is the cooler probably. There is sun, especially in the morning, but is really less sunny, and I'm talking about shades. You know, it's not. You can feel it in the glass. In the southern part, the sun usually is more important, especially in the afternoon. So you know, the sunshine in the afternoon usually keeps more intense sunlight, but also more intense warmth. So the expression from the southern part, especially the southwestern part, usually are bigger, bolder, more opulent, with a bolder body. Also, the soils are different, so you keep an expression of more sandy soil on the eastern part and more clayish and what we say galestro, that is slate. So it's a combination of rocky soils, clays. It's a all mix of quite unique of Tuscany, actually. So it gives this difference in organic matter and differences on pH that gives the wines different approach and different profile. So this regarding the natural factors. Now we talk about the human factor. And the human factor means what do the men do to this grape in the winery. Of course, which is the grape? Sangiovese. So I'm going very briefly here because everybody knows that Brunello is made from 100% Sangiovese, and Sangiovese is in my opinion, is a terroir reflector because Sangiovese really changed the expression of not only in the nose, but also in the palate and also in the intensity of the tannins, depending on the soil and depending on the climate. So actually, Sangiovese is a late ripening grape variety. The bunch is quite compact, the skin is quite thin, and it's able not to give much color in the wine, but to give a high level of tannins that give the structure. And also, it is able to retain a high level of acidity in order to give, again, the structure element. And also, it can accumulate a lot of sugar because it is late ripening, and so it needs time, it needs sunshine in order to get the skin very well ripe and ready to be picked. So again, the people, the men, keep the grapes in the winery. Of course, usually the first fermentation happens in an inert vessel. More and more we see concrete, but there are also people that is using big vat, oak vat, so it's cask. Then the signature, the stylistic signature of the winery is made especially in the aging part, after the fermentation. What happens? Some of them use big cask, old cask, some use a mix of tonneau, some a bit of new barrique in order to give this toastiness, this roundness, this sweet spiciness. And the time in the oak is much different from winery to winery. So we will taste later on wines that keep the wines in wood for 24 months and others that keep more than 3 years. 3 years in wood is a huge amount of time. So you will really feel the polymerization of the anthocyanins, the tannins that will stay in the mouth in a much silkier way. But you have to pay attention in longer aging period, because if you don't have the body, if you don't have the fruit concentration, you finish to alter your wine, so your wine will look older than it is. So making wine in Montalcino is quite a tough, because you need to preserve the typicity of the grape, you need to deal with Sangiovese that is not very easy to manage. So we will taste very soon the extraordinary typicity of this wine. So I see that everybody has wine number one in the glass. Wine number one is Camigliano Gualto Brunello di Montalcino 2015. Camigliano is located in the southwest side and is managed by Gualtiero and Laura. So Gualto is actually in honor of the producer. They produce more or less 300,000 bottles, so it's considered as a whole a middle small winery. The aging here is 36 months in cask with 2 years in bottle. So if we look at this, you see that the color is really pale. And this is normal. This is quite typical of Sangiovese. As I told you before, the concentration of anthocyanins in the skin is not that high. So it's quite typical for Sangiovese, especially Brunello. Another important thing is that the winery here keep a lot of attention in sustainability and organic. So they are organic and they keep really an eye in the vineyard, especially with the cover crop and dealing with the balance of the soil. So the importance of organic matter. We will discuss also tomorrow during Wine Geek Forum, because we will discuss about climate change, we will discuss of the importance of maintaining an healthy soil, and we will discuss also about the healthiness of the vine. We will discuss about old vine, and Marco Simonit, for instance, will be present to give a very nice insight on how to keep healthy a vine and have old vine. Here, the vines are around 30 years old, and still they are grown organically. If you put it in the nose, you see that the wine is quite pronounced, but still it maintains this subtle profile. So it's not a open, really, wine. It's not immediate. It's not, okay, now I present myself. No, it's quite subtle. It's quite refined. And you feel there is a lot of complexity. So very well-defined aromas. You keep the black fruit, you keep the plant, you keep some blackberries, for instance, and also you don't feel a really invasive, a really prominent oak percentage. You don't feel the vanilla toasty note, but you feel this smokiness, this kind smokiness that give support to the fruit in order to highlight the fruit to give complexity. So it's really, really well made. And also, there is a touch of tertiary evolution because of the long aging period in bottle. So you start feeling these tobacco leaves, this leather. It is quite peculiar of Brunello, no? It's quite unique of Sangiovese itself, because Sangiovese always have this truffle and mushroom idea in the nose. Okay, now we can taste. When we talk about typicity, probably this wine is really typical. And if you were tasting this blind, you probably get that is a Brunello. Why? Well, because all the evidence from the glass give you the idea that this is Brunello, the high acidity that is refreshing, the high tannins, but they are silky, very linear. They stay in the lateral of the tongue. And on the other side, you feel the alcohol. You feel that is 14 or more, 14 and a half. And you feel also this savouriness, this dry finish. This is peculiar of the Sangiovese and Brunello signature. So, talking about the consumer perception, also the commercial appeal of this wine, I told you that this is a quite gastronomic style, is a dry finish, is gently oaked, and which is the commercial appeal that can be deductive from this glass. But probably you feel, because it is an outstanding quality, and probably also the price is super premium or ultra premium, you imagine a situation of fine dining. You imagine to drink it with a nice dinner, nice food. So you don't imagine this kind of wine in an afternoon on a boat, for instance. So you imagine this wine very high positioned. This wine actually is a classic wine, so there is no seasonability. You can drink it in summer, you can drink it in winter. It depends on, especially on the food. So that's why I call it a really gastronomic wine. You feel also this. No, it's not a lean body, of course, it's a full body, but you feel the refined profile. So you can also consider it as a nice alternative of some maybe some Barolo, or maybe some other wines from the new world that is coming. So maybe some Rioja Gran Reserva this one can be a good alternative to that. Okay. Obviously, if you have any question, just raise your hand and someone will arrive with a microphone. Okay, we can move to the wine number 2. Here we are in Tenuta Talenti, Pian di Conte, Riserva 2015. Tenuta Talenti is located in the southwestern side again, so you will see probably a more ripe, a more juicy style. Again, old vine, around 40 years old, and there is a small winery. They have 40 hectares, and of these 40 hectares, only 20 are vocated for the production of wine. So the rest is other cultivation. So keep in mind always this concept of, okay, my property is that big, but only a small part of the product is vineyard. Because in Montalcino, you always have this diversity of cultivations. Again, what can I say? Pierluigi Talenti, this is a very nice insight. Pierluigi Talenti started studying clonal of Sangiovese since 1950s. So he developed a really interesting research on clonal selection in order to provide their wine the style he wanted. So to study the clonal profile of the Sangiovese actually gave opportunity for him to grow, but also for the entire category of Brunello di Montalcino. This wine spent 24 months in cask, in French and Slavonian cask, and then a time in bottle. So they don't specify how much. So it can be the minimum, 6 months, but can be longer. So I would like to have a small interaction with you, and I would like you to give me, to guess the age, the aging in bottle, because you can understand, you can feel it from the nose and from the palate. So we taste together. I don't tell you anything. I just tell you the evidence from the glass, and you keep the conclusion, okay? We do this game together. Okay. Okay, if you look at this, again, it's quite pale in color. It's quite ruby. There is a slightly garnet hue, but very, very delicate. In the nose, it's very intense. There is more opulent. It's more opulent than the previous one. So it's really pronounced in the nose. You feel that the fruit is a black fruit. It's plum. It's riper. So you feel actually the southern western exposition when the sun of the afternoon gave his signature to the wines. So it's a ripened. It's a darker. And what about the oak? You feel the oak, you feel the spiciness, you feel the creaminess, you feel the vanilla. So you think about probably a small percentage of new oak also in the wine. And I don't tell you anything about the tertiary in bottle, but I invite you to taste and give the consideration on that. So in the mouth, it's really full, it's really round. The one, Camigliano, was slightly on the more vertical side. There is more structure there. In this wine, there is a big balance between a concentration of the fruit, the body actually, all this, the element, the juiciness, and this tannic profile that is really, really present, and also the acidity. So, in your opinion, if I tell you around 6 months, 1 year, 2 years in bottle, what's your opinion on that? Yeah, okay. I translate because there is no microphone, I will repeat for the audience. So the lady said 18 because of the integration of the tannins and the smoothness of the wine. Okay. Anyone else? More than 18. Okay. Very perfume. Yes, there is this tertiary evolution. So, as you can understand from the glass gives you all the information you need. That's why blind tasting is so fascinating, because if you are able to have a conversation with the wine will tell you everything. The difficult part is to understand what is talking, because sometimes it becomes quite difficult to understand the wine. Yeah, I agree with you. Maybe 18, 24 months. I don't know. Maybe someone who downloaded the QR code has more updated information. But in any case, this is a really delicious wine. Do you agree? Very nice. Okay, we move on the third one. The third one is Col di Lamo. Col di Lamo is located in the northern part of Brunello. So by theory, by listening to me, you would expect a leaner body, more acidity, a slightly red fruit instead of black fruit, less ripe fruit, so a more austere wine, more delicate, more floral expression of Brunello. Let's see if it is like that. I didn't taste it already, so we will discover together. What I like about Col di Lamo is that Giovanna Neri changed her life from law to wine. So it's quite a similar trip, a similar journey of me, because I was a lawyer and I changed my life to become a wine educator. So I'm quite curious about the history of Giovanna, because she dedicated her life in this small winery, is 8 hectares, so it's quite a small production, and is organic with very low intervention. So the fermentation is with wild yeast, so it's a spontaneous fermentation, and we will discuss about this very deeply also tomorrow during the Wine Geek Forum, making a nice SWOT analysis about spontaneous fermentation. Okay, let's have a look of this wine. What about the color? Well, actually, yes, it's really pale. It's a bit paler than the wine number 2, so the wine from Talenti. I don't know if you agree. And the nose, yeah, indeed, is really, really more austere, is less opulent, is less pronounced, is more restrained. I find it very refined because I confirm there is this rose petal, this violet is more floral. There is this red fruit, a cherry. There is also blackberry and plum that is typical of Sangiovese. And again, this tobacco and leather that give the typicity of the grape. But it's more, there is something more earthy, more wild. What about the oak? I didn't tell you anything about the aging in oak, aging in cask. So I don't know. What do you guess from the glass? Is it old oak, new oak? I would say old. Yeah, I agree. Let's verify. Yeah, 24 months in cask. So yeah. Oh, you're a very good taster. Huh? I like this glass. Very nice. And then nobody tells about the time in bottle again, but we can guess. Again, I would say again 1 year, 1 year and a half, but we taste it. This one is really delicious. So being a wine educator is not an easy job because you need to be honest and to be gentle and kind with the wine. So you need to say the things they are in a gentle way. Tonight is quite easy for me because the wine are really outstanding. So believe me, I'm quite objective in judging a wine. So I'm not so emotional saying what I say, what I think about a wine. So in this case, I found it really, really refined with a very long finish. I'm talking, and I still feel it in the palate. So this long finish make it really suitable for the long aging in bottle. So think about the people that invest in wine. Think about the people that has their own cellar. This wine can stay in your cellar very, very long, for a long time. So you can taste. Actually, all the wines from Reserva 2015 from Brunello are really, really able to improve in bottle. Why? Because they are Brunello, because 2015 is a very nice vintage, and because of the body, because of the structure, because of the tannins and the alcohol, it can keep in bottle really for decades. So probably if you open one of this bottle of wine in, let's say, 10 years, they probably will be better than now. So now we are quite delighted to taste this wine. Imagine what can you feel if you taste 2015 in 10 years. And especially all these, also the wine that we tasted before are really, really able to improve in bottle. So very, very nice. Any question till now? Are you okay? You like them? Wine number 4. Okay, Tenuta Fanti, southeastern part. Tenuta Santi, riserva 2015, 2015, Vigna Le Macchiarelle. Here it is. So now we are again in the southern part, but we are oriented in the eastern part. So we can make some differences, no? Between wine number 1 and number 2, they were from the southern west. Wine number 3 in the northern part. This one, wine number 4, in the northern, in the southern but eastern part. And Filippo Elisa has a quite big winery because they have 260 hectares, and the part of this property that is vocated for the production of wine is around 200 meters in altitude. So also altitude is a really key element in the profile of the wine. Also the other wineries were located more or less in 200, 300 meters in altitude, and this gives the possibility to grow healthy grapes, because in altitude you will have much more aeration. The intensity of the sunlight is higher, so you have a really very nice ripening of the grapes, phenolic ripeness of the grapes, but you keep the acidity. So you keep balance. You can produce big wine, but with high structure. And this is important. This is a single vineyard. It's around 40 years old. So again, keep in mind the importance of old vine in Brunello, in Montalcino. Many producers can help the vine becoming old. This wine in the glass is, again, pale, quite dark if you compare with the previous one. There is a very elegant garnet rim. And here there is 24 months in tonneau with another around 3 years, 30 months in bottle. And you feel it. If you compare this one to the previous one, you feel that the fruit is darker, is riper. So there is more austerity, but there is more, you expect more body. This is the orientation of the wines. This is the different slope of Brunello, and this is the typicity that is typicity, but also diversity. So this gives the value of the wine of Brunello. So again, dark fruit with a smokiness and also a touch of vanilla. So there is some toastiness, some vanilla, some tertiary evolution. What do you feel? Yeah, here I feel more truffle. I feel something that is more a bit metallic. Is a really complex wine. And there is also something that is sweet. So I expect really something that is full body. Okay, we can taste. Okay. Pardon me, my microphone with the hearing. Okay. Fix it. Okay. So actually, yes, you feel it density here in the mouth. Probably this one is a bigger density in the mouth, together with the wine number 2, together with the Brunello di Montalcino Talenti. Probably the orientation in the south give this abundant volume, this big profile in the mouth. Also the tannin, you feel the tannins are really present, but they are really ripe, they are really smooth. The long chain has created this integration of the tannins in the palate, and the acidity is still high, but consider the vintage is the same for all the wines, but the previous one that was from the northern side, the perception of the acidity was a bit higher. This is because the orientation and the microclimate give this different shade of Brunello. In this case, the acidity is still high, but it's probably, WSCT would say medium high and medium plus. And also the perception is really refreshing. It gives this mouth weight, this mid-palate weight in the mouth. On the other side, you feel, again, the density of the fruit, this concentration of the fruit that is really highlighting the quality of the wine. So talking about quality, you know that quality is a combination of complexity, concentration, of integration, of length, which is the characteristics that keep the wine outstanding, in your opinion. So I would say that for the other wines, there are other aspects. For instance, the wine from Camigliano was probably outstanding because of the balance of all the elements. The wine from Talenti was outstanding because of the integration of the tannins and the very supple fruit. The wine of Col di Lamo was outstanding because of the refreshing acidity, because of this savouriness and the dry palate and the dry finish. And in your opinion, I would like to understand from your point of view why this wine should be considered outstanding. Which is the characteristics that make you think, okay, this wine is really good, objectively really good? Someone says balanced, someone is accessible. So it's big but accessible. Is close to you, close to a consumer. Very ripe. Yeah, I agree. So the concentration and the balance. Do you agree? Very nice. I go again for wine number 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Eccolo qua. Fattoria Barbi, eccolo qua. Brunello di Montalcino, Fattoria dei Barberi, 2015, riserva. Now we are moving again in the southern eastern part, so the location should be similar between Fattoria de Barbi and Fanti, but we will understand here the signature that is a signature of the winery. So Fattoria de Barberi has a unique stylistic signature of all this wine, and Fattoria de Barbi is really, really well known. It's owned by the Cinelli Colombini family, so they produce really big amount of Brunello bottles, around 300,000 bottles of only Brunello. So there is a long history in this case. It's probably one of the first wineries able to export the wine of Italy, the Brunello, outside of Italy. So it's really an historic winery in Tuscany. And now we understand how it is. Okay. Maybe in this case, in my glass, it appears a bit more garnet in color, still ruby. The nose is really, really, really pronounced, and you find a really big impact of this black fruit, but also juicy fruit. You feel that is very ripe fruit. Again, the southern position gives this big shape of the nose of the wine. There is something that is alcoholic fruit, so it's like cherry under spirit. And there is a big impact of new oak, in my opinion. You feel the oak here. So probably there should be a mix of new and old oak, and also cask. Yes, it's a cask, and there is 3 years in the cask plus bottle. You feel that the first thing that I said about this one is, wow, this is really, really pronounced in the nose. So this pronounced aroma, this extraction of the aroma has been made from cold soak, so pre-fermentation, maceration in very cold temperature in order to extract color and aroma. The color has almost disappeared because of the long aging in oak and in bottle, but you feel the intensity of the aroma. This is the signature of Fattoria de Barbi. Let's taste it. You really feel the density here, the tannins. This wine, in my opinion, is too young to be drunk. So it is a nice thing to say to a wine. It means that the time in bottle will benefit this wine. Maybe because of the big structure, because of the extraction of the wine, so there is a lot of matter in this wine, in this glass. So you need actually time. You still feel the oak, you still feel the tannins that need a touch of time in order to better integrate. And really, really, this is a sign of very high quality. So in this case, why this wine is outstanding? Well, because it's still nervous. You feel it. It needs time in order to integrate, to calm down, in order to give all the profile and the richness of the palate to the consumer. Again, the acidity is high, is very well balanced with the high alcohol, and the fruit is really it keeps in the mouth with a very long finish. You like it? My class is making like this with the head, so I am happy to hear that, and I hope that also Miami and Toronto are enjoying this tasting with me. So I'm very glad to have these international things that we taste the same thing in the same time in different places. We know that in the last period we have done a lot of activity online, so we are almost a master of Instagram, and we are keep going this nice habit in order to connect people all over the world. Okay, we can move on to the sixth wine, Sasso di Sole. Sasso di Sole, Brunello di Montalcino, Riserva 2015. In this case, you feel that we are again in the northern part. We finished this. There is a question from Toronto, but I don't know. Okay, I would like to listen to Toronto now, and then we move to the Sasso di Sole.
Hello, ciao.
Hi.
Come stai?
Bene, grazie.
Tutto bene.
How are you?
Senti, con l'ultimo vino, sorry, I'll just, with the last wine, I ordered a steak Fiorentina, and I'm waiting for it. So is it coming, or?
What are you waiting for?
Just, a big wine like that commands big food. And now it's obviously too early to approach that wine, but if I were to approach it, it would be with, a nice steak Fiorentina. That's all I was going to say.
What are you telling me? What are you saying? Bistecca alla Fiorentina? Ma certo. You know, I live in Milan, but I'm from Tuscany, so it's almost it's normal. Of course, you can pair with the bistecca alla Fiorentina, but also with a lot of pasta with meat, and don't tell me about food, please, because I'm quite. I didn't have my lunch today, so I feel quite hungry.
Or also, like, homemade pasta with wild boar would be a beautiful complement too.
Yeah, and we are approaching the end of October, and November in Alba, in Piemonte, is a paradise for truffle, white truffle from Alba. So, what do you think about 2015 Reserva with a nice pasta with truffles? Yeah!
That's what I'm doing.
Nice, eh? Yeah, everybody here is quite angry with you because everybody is hungry, and you discovered the fact that Italian people like to eat meat and pasta, and now they want a plate of pasta. I have not here for you now, but maybe later we can have dinner together. Okay. Okay, thank you, Toronto, for this nice insight about food pairing, because now I feel ready for dinner. Okay, let's move to the Sasso di Sole. Again, we move on the northern eastern side, and what do you expect? Now you are all expert of the slope and the different aspect of Brunello and of Montalcino. So in this case, I didn't taste it yet, but I should expect more linearity, more flower aroma, more high acidity, less big body. Okay, we can verify together. Sasso di Sole is from Terzuoli family. It's quite small actually, it's only 10 hectares, and the altitude is quite high because over 300 meters. And the soil is very well draining, and gravel and stone. I was quite right, because this one is really restrained. It's very subtle. It's not big, opulent, and open. It's very, very close. It's still very refined. And yes, you feel the violet, you feel the rose petal, you feel the red fruit that is less ripe than the wine we tasted before from the Southern Exposition. Wine enthusiast awarded this wine with a very high score, and probably he was right. Maybe they are right with this, because actually the nose speaks loud about our high quality of the product. We can taste it. Here you feel there is a balance between similar density you can find in the more southern part, but a very structured palate. and very vertical profile, a very linear profile. Here the acidity is really high, is very well hidden by the alcohol, so you don't feel it sharp, you don't feel it tart. You still feel very refreshing, but because of the alcohol. So really a nice integration of the acidity, nice integration of the tannins. The tannins are really silky. There is a touch of smokiness because of the wood. It's really oxidative complexity because of the long period in wood. And also there is this integration that keeps the wine compact. So this is because of the bottle aging before release. I will not tell you which one is one of my favorite. I will probably at the end of the masterclass if you ask, but I found them all really outstanding because of different reasons. As I told you before, one is because of the opulence, one is because of the potential, one is because of the acidity. And so you start having an idea of how many shades of Brunello Riserva you can have. Brunello Riserva is a style, but inside the Brunello di Montalcino you have many different shades. It's really beautiful to understand them. And now we finish with Caparzo. Caparzo, Brunello di Montalcino, Riserva 2015. Here it is, very nice. Caparzo is again an historical winery in Montalcino, and the name is quite unknown, so they really don't know the origin of the name. Many believe that the name is a place touched by the sun, and probably it's like that. They have different plots, and this is the result of the blending of different plots, some in the northern part, some in the southern part. So you should really expect complexity, balance. You should expect a complex profile of Brunello. Here, the wine spent 2 years in cask, so big wood, and only 6 months, they say, but obviously is more, in bottle. And here, actually, you feel the complexity in the nose because of the combination of more reddish fruit and more dark ripe fruit. So actually you feel the blend of different slope, of different plot. Again, the presence of the wood is here is quite evident. So the cask probably has a small percentage of new wood. And there is a sort of mintiness, balsamic profile that probably is given by the aging of the wine in bottle as well. And always this beautiful Sangiovese signature about truffle, about this mushroom, so really, really typical. We can taste it. I know you have done already. It's a mix of juiciness and structure with the high acidity, but the profile in the mouth is very large. So you keep the complexity I told you before in theory. Now you understand the blend of different plot. You understand the roundness in the mouth. Still, again, the tannins are high, very refined, silky. They are positioned in the lateral of the mouth. This is typical of Sangiovese, so you understand that this is Sangiovese. You understand that this is not a simple Sangiovese from somewhere in Tuscany, but you understand it is Brunello because of the oxidative complexity, because of the body, because of the alcohol, because of care and intention in the winemaking. So I would like to finish this tasting with you just to give you an insight and in order to think tonight before sleeping about the diversity and unicity of Brunello di Montalcino and Brunello di Montalcino Riserva. In order to understand that you really need to experience that. And this tasting probably has been really formative, really educational. In my point of view, of course, I was not really in depth like we were at school. If you want to come at school with me, I am ready to discuss, but tonight is not the place. So this is a panoramic of the shades of Brunello. And I would like to, I'd like you to think on how it is different from other expression of Sangiovese. Sangiovese is quite a signature of Italy, no? Sangiovese you can find in Tuscany, in Emilia-Romagna, in Umbria, in other region of Italy, but the unicity of Montalcino is in your glass. So I thank you all. Thank you Miami and Toronto. I thank Consorzio dei Vini Brunello di Montalcino and hope you enjoyed this evening with me. See you very, very soon. Ciao.